Hey guys and gals, welcome to another episode of A Fool's Paradise. I'm glad you're with me here on this beautiful autumn day. I'm shooting a bit early today, so the sun is a tad strong. That's why the glasses, hence the glasses. And also, so you cannot see into my soul. Yeah, it's really strong. In any case, I'm in my usual spot, although I change usual location, although I change the spots. Let me start with a little announcement. I've got some good news, at least from my perspective. It's been a 7-year-old dream of mine, or wish of mine, or inspiration to launch a course. I back then didn't know yet what exactly I wanted to share. I wasn't sure what my message was. I was, well, very young. I'm still young, but younger than today, obviously. And I lacked the courage. That was one part. One was the courage. The second one was I didn't really have a message. I just felt that this is going to be, or this is, I have to do this, I should do this. And so now I did. I launched ALCHEMY series. That's a video course, a 7-part video course that you can partake in. It's meant for you to understand yourself and others better. And each video is about 15 minutes long. And at the end of the series, you can also have a one-on-one session with me, depending if you choose that pricing tier. So please have a look somewhere around here or there, or down below in the description. Have a look, check it out, and let me know what you think. And if you do join the series, then we may end up talking on a personal level anyway, one-on-one. That's it for today's announcement. And let's go on to today's topic. Thank you for bearing with me. And thank you for being with me all these episodes. Maybe you're new, maybe you've been watching me for 21 episodes, like for perhaps my father. Hey Dad. Today's topic is, how do you change the past? So there's going to be a bit of time traveling today. It's a very interesting topic, and as you may know or may not know, I don't know if I've mentioned this. These messages are not. They're not my imagination or my creation. They're not from my mind. They come through me. I am here just. I caught this message and I'm sharing it with you. And obviously, I believe in this message. I trust this message. I try to live this message. All the messages that have happened in the past 21 episodes, or 20. This is numero 21. So how do you change the past? Now let's first. Wow, this is a deep topic. Let's first go back and explore how the past becomes the past. So the first things that we need to understand is that there is no past. That is the fundamental thing. And conversely, there is no future either. From a certain perspective, yes, there is a past, and yes, there is a future, but from a absolute perspective, there's only this now, this moment right now. And from this moment out, we create our life, or we live our life. And we live not forward in time, as in from the past into now, but from the future into the past, or from the future into the now. And it's very simple to see, but we are so convinced that the past has power over us because I did something. Now this is the effect of that doing, the consequence, action, reaction. But it is akin to, or like a dog's tail wagging the dog, or like the ship's, you know, the track it leaves behind controlling the ship. When in fact, you are in the now, and from this now you sort of pull the future into the now, and then the past happens. But the past is only an interpretation of our mind. It is a memory. It is an electromagnetic memory. It's an electromagnetic pulse, maybe that is the right word. Electromagnetism. It's an image. Images laid on top of each other. And these images, some you remember, the majority you forget. Those that you remember have more of emotional impact. They are more latent or powered with emotion, either negative or positive, mostly negative. These images then have an emotional structure, I could say. They have a sort of a radiation, and you memorize these things, and from these things you derive who you are. And it is almost like this past, these memories, these images are more me than this me right now. And we let these images affect our life right now, and therefore control our outcome or the future in a way, as if the past will project itself into the future. But those are all illusions. The past, the future. There's only this moment right now. And you can imagine yourself as the spider in the middle of the web. You've got all directions. It's not linear. You've got all directions, and you can live the future right now. The future that you want to live, you can live it right now. If not physically, then at least from a moment or a place of feeling. If you want to be rich, for example, financially successful, you can live that financial success right now, and therefore start to invite the circumstances outside. Abundance within, abundance without. But of course, we've been indoctrinated into this past affecting the now program. That is why we feel like we're the dog being wagged by the tail, as if that's a possibility. Moreover, we split the action-reaction, or we split the consequence and I forgot the name. We split the action, the reaction, what we do and what happens, as if those are two separate events. But they cannot be two separate events. It's a one event. Now, if we go a bit deeper into the whole past, future paradigm, I want you to imagine yourself. Imagine when you were born. When were you born? Were you born the moment you came out of your mother's womb? Or were you born in the moment when you were conceived? Or were you born when your father looked at your mother the first time? Or were you born when your grandfather first saw your grandmother? Well, when were you born? When did you start to exist? I mean, it's an impossible question, but a very deep one, profound one. When were you born? If you go back and back, you can come to the beginning of time, if there ever was such a thing. And so the question arises, how do we change the past? Is that even possible? Or am I talking gobbly blah here? Gobbly blah blah. Well, let's first start with the future. Can we change the future? From a perspective now is the future, now is the past, we can change the future by choosing, by deciding right now. We do not have control over the outcome, but we have control over the what we put in. That is our decisions, even though that can also be argued that we do not have control over our decisions because of the whole subconsciousness and so whatnot. But from an observer's point of view, if you are aware, you can in awareness decide something. You don't know why you've decided it. That's the thing. You think that you've decided it because of some rational thinking, but you decide on a whim. At the end of the day, you decide from a standpoint of feeling. Well, of course, we go through the motion of dissecting it, but we can never take enough information in to make a rational decision. But anyway, we can change the future by changing the now. So if that is right for the future, isn't it also right, or isn't it the same for the past? If the future is a projection going forward or forward in time, what is the past then? I've said before that it's basic electromagnetism or electrons or electro images. The term is not that important. It's images that have been stored in your file system. And those images, are they real? Is that what really happened? If you look at a certain event, is that what happened? Or is that only your limited perception of that moment? For example, you had a fight with someone, an argument, big argument, a fuss, and you took it very dramatically. You shouted, you were angry, they shouted, and so on. And in your memory, that event was their fault, it was a big deal, it was catastrophic. But now maybe there isn't a witness, and this witness, you ask him, or they're asked about this event, and they say, well, not really, it was not catastrophic. Person A said something about person B, but it was not really an insult. But person B, that would be you, took that, or the person I was talking about before, the person B took that as an insult, even though the person A was not insulting the person B. And there's two stories. Now, of course, even the observer's story is just their story. Now, where's this? It's all subjective. Where's the objectivity here? So what happened? I mean, you know how many times you've changed the past already. You already know how to change the past. When a certain piece of information came in and you were like, that makes so much sense now. I was in the wrong. Past changed. Changing the now from the past, but changing the now, the past from the now, and the now from the past, because your perception in the now about the past changes. But because there is no past, it's all changing in the now, changing the now in the now, if that makes any sense. And in this way, you can imagine a scenario where you, like in the Harry Potter movies or books, when Dumbledore pulls out a piece of his memory and puts it in a so-called pensieve, a memory device, it floats in water, and then he can go in and examine the whole memory. The older him examining the younger him. And in this way, looking at a certain memory from a different point of view. And voila, we can now change the past. Just like we can change the future. Like a spider in the middle of his web, changing in all directions. Not limited linearly, like we believe time to be linear. past affecting the now, therefore the future. It's the other way around. You affect the future and the past from the now, which is all there is. Of course, it doesn't mean that the new story you make about a certain event is still not a story. It's still a story, but perhaps it's a better story, one you can live easier with, one that doesn't burden you. To be objective about something might be impossible. To be most objective is to be in a state of awareness, or in a state of the witness, being impersonal. That is the most objective you can come to be in the perception, perceptively. The most important key, or the most important takeaway here, is that you are not affected by the past. You are affected by the past because you allow it to affect you. Because you believe that those images of you, the historical self, the ego, as it could also be called, or the historical self, that may be a better description, less of a, the word has less of a connotation, because ego has very different meanings. But historical person, historical personality, that is all the memories of you which are obviously selected. You select those from a pool of all of your memories, making up you. They do not affect you unless you allow them to affect you or yourself. Because in your essence, you are the witness. You are the water for the fish. The water the fish cannot see. You ask a fish, hey, how's the water like? And the fish says, what water? What's that? The fish doesn't know it's in water. I mean, it's the same way for us. We do not know the word that we are. And do not discount the practical value of all of this. May sound esoteric, but it is nothing of the like. It may be esoteric in a certain sense of the word, but that's again a word. This is very practical. To understand this, of course, there is the level of understanding when you say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's smart. That makes sense. But then there's the level of understanding when you feel this, when you can get into this. That's when things start to fall away. That's when the burden of the past, the memory, the illusion can fall away, and you can perceive a lightness in your mind, in your body, in your presence. For you are not obligated to carry the baggage of the past. You are not obligated to be a victim of the past. That is, the victim of yourself, or of your mind, your programming. And you can live day by day, moment by moment, unburdened by these past what ifs, past happenings, past events. And anchor yourself in the now, in the only place there is, in the bedrock of being. And you place yourself in here, trusting fully that you're taken care of. And let intuition guide you, trusting that everything has already been dreamt up for you. And that is how you change the past. By sheer realization, by understanding. I wish you have a sunny day wherever you are. And if you're still with me at this moment in time in the video, then I encourage you to have a look at the Alchemy series. And if you think of anyone who would benefit from this message, share it with them. Thank you. See you on the next episode of A Fool's Paradise.